Holy evil Asner, Batman! Tiki here, and golly gee, golly oh me, I am going through Batman the Animated Series for the first time, and I'm like a lost little child when it comes to this stuff. Like I don't know anything about it. I don't know the animation. I don't know who produced it. I'm just admiring it from afar. But wait, in the distance, there's a light. A wild dragon appears.
That's right. You see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way.
And tonight we are covering season 2. I believe it's episode 8, Dragon, right? Episode 8.
I
Putting you on the spot.
It put me on the spot because the breakdown of the seasons are a little, but yeah, it should be.
Hey, Dragon, I thought you were the animated series expert. You're ruining the whole conceit of the show right now. No, I'm just kidding. This is entirely my fault. Don't worry about it. It's the episode we're covering is Cat Scratch Fever. I'm sorry about that, Dragon.
Yes.
Dragon is the utmost animated series expert, folks. Let me assure you. I am just kidding around when anyways. So, Dragon, just getting into my reactions to Cat Scratch Fever. I don't know how this episode is viewed because, again, that's one of those things where it's like I know the big hallmarks, like the heart of ices, the almost gotems, the baby dolls. I know the ones that everyone talks about. But Dragon, this seems to be the type of episode that maybe gets lost in the cracks a little bit. And I gotta tell you, is it my favorite episode of the animated series that I've seen so far? Probably not. It's probably not even in my top 5. But Dragon, I really enjoyed this as just like a very straightforward Batman and Catwoman dynamic. I really felt like it was kind of like the characters at their prime really interacting off each other really well. You know what it reminded me of, Dragon? Is it reminded me of a more straight played version of the Batman and Catwoman we get in Return of the Caped Crusaders. The whole like Batman being concerned for Catwoman's morality. You know what I mean? Like the battle for Catwoman's soul, if you will. But like I said, played more straight. So yeah, I gotta say, Dragon, I really wasn't expecting much from this one, especially after I really wasn't a fan of the Cat and the Claw. But this one really, it definitely exceeded my expectations. I had quite a bit of fun with this one. I enjoyed it.
All right. Also, for prosperity's sake, maybe we should just kind of like reintroduce the episode title, if you catch my drift.
Oh, yeah. Right. So, I'm sorry, folks. We're still exploring new technology here. So, check this out. It's all shiny and new. So, Dragon, cue me up.
So, Tiki, what episode are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about Cat Scratch Fever.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you see that, Joshua Thomas? We have a lower half. He would be so proud of us, Dragon.
One could say, proud of his boys.
Oh god, anyways.
Okay, obscure references aside
4 weeks, man, we gotta plan that Disneyland meetup, bro.
Okay.
On the off chance that he's actually watching this, which he might be, like, hey, the boys are talking Batman. I'm gonna check it out.
Anywho. So, Cat Scratch Fever. So this was, I guess for context here, so Cat Scratch Fever was directed by Boyd Kirkland. Again, really great director from the tomes of Batman the Animated Series. He did Pretty Poison, the introduction of Poison Ivy, did the really artful Appointment in Crime Alley, did The Forgotten, of course. Really, really excellent kind of episodes. They're really just like, they're not like the whammo blammo, like it's a big Joker episode, but they're really artfully done, just kind of like, they're really like they're not your A-list Batman villains or like your big like character pieces, but they're nothing against Poison Ivy. I'm saying these are kind of the more like we're telling a story before we're telling a gimmick,
Sure.
As the series always does, they're always telling a story. But you catch my meaning. Anyway, so it was directed by Boyd Kirkland. It was written by so we're getting some muddy territory. It was written by Sean Catherine Derrick. Do you remember that name?
Vaguely.
Sean Catherine Derrick in the first, mainly in the first season of the Batman animated series, was kind of the Kiss of Death writer.
Oh yes. It's coming back to me, Dragon. It's coming back to me.
So, I mean, while we are in season 2, and the reason the episode titles get the episode numbers get a little muddy, folks, is that some people categorize season 1 and 2 as kind of like one big season. Where again, if you go by the way we're going by, it's kind of you have season 1 and season basically the way the DVDs and the box sets kind of break up. Like you have the season 1 stuff, the season 2 stuff, which we're in, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of the way that's the way it's supposed to go. But if you go by DC Universe now, they kind of combine them as well, so it's a little muddy. Point being, Sean Catherine Derrick in the early years of Batman, let's say. So she did The Forgotten. She did Cat in the Claw. I'd emphasize probably part 1, but she's done the Cat in the Claw episodes and Prophecy of Doom.
Oh yeah, that is definitely the worst one that we've seen so far on our journey, my friend. I will say I will sit down and watch There's a Batman in My Basement, or I've Got Batman in My Basement, or whatever the hell that episode's
I've
called.
got Batman in My Basement.
I will watch that like 5 times in a row before I watch Prophecy of Doom once, Dragon.
Yeah, that's the thing. I absolutely full-heartedly agree. Because bear in mind, there are a few, as much as I love Batman Answers, there are a few episodes that are like, I can only count them on one hand that really that either don't work or just don't come together, or kind of like the embarrassing baby photos of Batman the Animated Series. Prophecy of Doom is absolutely one of those. And again, you can find redeeming things, and I think people are overly hard. Everyone's go-to is I've Got Batman in My Basement, which is a little unfair.
No, I'm a fan of that one. We've already established that.
Kind of Batman Gone Home Alone to an extent. That's kind of the...
I mean, maybe I'm just being an animated series hipster by defending that one. I probably am. But honestly, Dragon, the reason I like that one is because it kind of gave me a really strong Amblin vibe to it with the kids.
And again, to each his own, even if people don't agree with that. Regardless, thing is, Sean Catherine Derrick, her emphasis with those episodes I just listed is that they're really PSA or message heavy, which again was kind of what the animated series in the early years, they're trying to find themselves. You have this writer come in. And again, this writer did do good work on some other stuff, but in terms of these episodes, they're really just like The Forgotten. I like The Forgotten as an episode, I really do. And it's not that a message can be bad, but many times, like an in-your-face message, if we have to, like, I believe Sean Catherine Derrick was also the
Forgotten was the one featuring the best villain of all time, right?
How could I forget?
Of course, little running gag, folks. Boss Biggs, one of the most ridiculous names of any comic book villain I've ever heard.
Yep.
Boss Biggs.
Like Sean Catherine Derrick, she was like trying to get like recycling in the Batcave, which didn't end up getting in. That's the kind of stuff she would try to work into the episodes. And again, it's kind of. I want to say she one of the great episodes that she did, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe she was involved in POV. Remember, like they had Bullock, Montoya, and Wilkes all giving their story about what happened when the bus went wrong. That whole one.
Sure.
What I'm getting at here is, and Sean Catherine Derrick, a little bit of infamy in the tomes of Batman. This episode was kind of a final straw in a number of ways here. So,
oh boy,
really? Let me talk about the animation. It's not infamous, but it's not a thing everybody knows. Let me put it this way. Okay, so you have the writing side of things. Let me talk about the studio before I tell you what the deal with that whole thing is. The studio working with ACOM. ACOM, they'd done, Christmas with the Joker. They did Cat in the Claw Part 2, which, as you and I've kind of gone through, Cat in the Claw Part 1's a little bit more impressive than Part 2.
Part 2 is like not quite in the same vein of Prophecy of Doom, but it's maybe halfway there.
It was the first kind of like a minor, it was kind of a lowering of quality in a 2-parter, which usually had not happened with Batman the Animated Series. And then, of course, you have the really good one, like Mad as a Hatter, of course, the Mad Hatter episode. So they also did the animation on that. So here's the thing. ACOM, especially according to Bruce Timm kind of had it out for ACOM. I don't mean that. ACOM didn't do the best work in all the animation studios, but basically they weren't the A-team, and this episode was it's reported that this episode was the last straw for Bruce Timm. Whereas, like, guys, this episode just didn't measure the standards of some of the other episodes. Like, it's not a Spectrum, like Spectrum's like, that's the top tier Batman animated series with the studios and the animation. It's not a TMS, it's not a Spectrum, it's just, and you can kind of see animation errors, like, for example, you look at Selena Kyle's face, there's no lines around the makeup. It's just kind of like there's paint, it's painted on, you see with the lipstick.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of animation, you're right. It's not a top tier episode, but like I said, I feel like this episode does redeem itself when it comes to the writing.
Certainly, and that's what I'm getting at. It's basically like that. I don't know how much stock to put in that, because ACOM did episodes after this, but bear in mind, I don't know in terms of production style. Maybe they did some out of order in the studio, like had them already, and by the time they kind of delivered them in a batch, maybe that's when Bruce Timm decided not to do any more with ACOM, because ACOM they stopped episodes after the second season. They say after season 2 they don't do any more episodes, and that's kind of probably Bruce Timm's not being crazy about the animation inconsistencies here and there. I don't know, because again, I think Mad as a Hatter looks really good, so I don't know, maybe it's Mad as a Hatter and Christmas with the Joker, I think, are good-looking episodes. Cat in the Claw Part 2, I kind of see his point. Regardless, I would bridge that into the writing of it all, where, again, this being yet another messagey episode by Sean Catherine Derrick, and I want to say her last episode of the animated series. Again, I think just overall, I think this episode may have really hit Bruce Timm in a really bad spot, therefore it's just kind of her last episode. I don't know.
Huh. Okay, well, Dragon, just how do you feel about it personally? Like, because like I said, the big takeaway for me is the Batman Catwoman dynamic. I mean, it's not great. It's not the best Batman Catwoman stuff we've ever gotten, but I mean, to me, I really did like it a little bit better than the Cat in the Claw. You know, even part 1 of Cat in the Claw.
Let me put it to you this way, simply here, is that re-experiencing the episode, of course I've seen these episodes a number of times, and you re-watch it really with a fine-tooth comb, as we tend to do when we do these things, we do the recaps. I gotta tell you, I was really impressed by, there really is, Batman and Amateurs did have a great sense of continuity within basically the grand storylines. Like, you didn't need to see every episode in sequence necessarily, but if you saw, again, the progression of Harvey Dent to Two-Face, for example, that sort of thing. And you kind of have that with Catwoman here, which I completely forgot about, where, oh my god, yeah, we see the promise that Bruce keeps, that Batman made to Catwoman at the end of the Cat in the Claw episode, the first Catwoman, kind of two-parter. You see promises to, he's doing the right thing for her. He's going to show her, he's going to, be there for her, show her leniency, that sort of stuff. Basically, if he does it his way, it's going to go a lot better for him. We kind of see the continuation of that at the very start of this episode. That sort of stuff is the kind of thing I overlooked. Or, oh my god, Cat Scratch Fever can be kind of a forgettable episode, and there's not a whole lot that goes on it, but it does have those running threads I think are the real strength of the episode. Like, Batman's faith in Selina Kyle is I think, the most interesting part of this episode. However, again, with the messagey thing of it all, I think our focus is getting a little divided and skewing a little bit off, is what I'm saying. It's not a bad episode, but I think it could have been refocused a little bit more,
I hear you. Okay. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation then, Dragon, because like I said, I go into these like, that's one of the benefits of doing this show, folks, is that not only do I not know anything about the episodes themselves most of the time, but I know next to nothing about the general, public perception of these episodes most of the time. So I'm truly going in with a blank slate here. And like I said, it wasn't like I was blown away by this, but I could definitely see the really good qualities of this one and kind of overlook the bad qualities. So I'm excited about this conversation, Dragon. This should be a fun one.
There's one other thing I should note before we go on. This is like a contextual thing you might need to know, Tiki. One thing.
Okay.
So this continues the war on Roland Daggett story. So as we've established, think of where we are with Daggett up to this point. So of course, Daggett, we had appointment. We had Appointment in Crime Alley. Appointment in Crime Alley, that's the one where we meet Leslie Tompkins for the first time, and that whole episode is Roland Daggett. He's going to he essentially tries to blow up all of Park Row. He tries to blow up all of Crime Alley, and he ends up just kind of basically blowing up unoccupied buildings. Batman saved everybody thanks to Leslie Tompkins, and the idea is that Roland Daggett, he's responsible for creating Clayface. He's responsible for basically really getting on Batman's bad side, and he keeps getting away. And we kind of continue that story here. And my own little headcanon, Roland Daggett has always been this, Tiki, looking back on the animated series, is that Daggett, he hides, he kind of manipulates the law, and he's a rich guy. He's kind of getting out of jams with the system. And I figure every time he's defeated by Batman, every time one of these things like a Clayface or an Appointment in Crime Alley happens, his organization his operations get that much smaller, because like a whole warehouse, chemical operation with Clayface. Then it went down to, I'm just going to blow up Crime Alley. Therefore, I'm going to kind of rebrand myself in the public eye and say, Crime Alley needs to be, we need to get rid of this stuff and build better stuff in place of it. He's always trying to maintain a crumbling empire, and therefore every episode going forward, the operation gets smaller and smaller. I always thought that was kind of interesting with them,
Interesting. I'll definitely have to track that in the future.
This is like kind of the third time we're checking in with Daggett. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, so we start with a sentencing of Selina Kyle. I really do like how Fire and Brimstone's this judge is. It's like she's not pulling any punches, but she still kind of gives the fair sentence at the end of the day.
Let me tell you what's really cool about this. Again, as I already mentioned, I love the fact that we had aftermath to Cat in the Claw, which is so rare. Rarely do you see the sentencing and the trial of the character once, especially of the bad guy once they are taken in. And it's another thing too. You gotta remember, it's so rare. Catwoman always gets away. It's so rare to see her actually caught and actually on trial.
Yeah, and we get some really good facial animation. Like kind of nonverbal. The judge is saying like, you understand that you could be sentenced to up to 25 years in prison. Selena's just like, yes, Your Honor, and kind of like just nods her head, kind of silently and stoically. Kind of taking in the fear of the situation.
Absolutely. The judge warns her of the she's at risk of 25 years because her attentions aside, theft is theft. Therefore, the judge is very fire and brimstones about the whole affair, as you said. But because again, she did help. Yeah, remember Cat in the Claw. She did help incidentally save Gotham from a terrorist attack in the form of Red
I
Claw.
like how the judge specifically words it as she helped save Gotham City from annihilation.
Yeah. And the DA, the DA struck a plea, and probably thanks to Bruce Wayne having ties to the DA's office, I'd imagine, through kind of the years of knowing Harvey Dent, be my little headcanon for it. The point being, thanks for a good deal being struck, or maybe Batman talking to Commissioner Gordon. You never know, either or. DA struck a plea bargain, 5 years probation. I love how especially after our coverage of all the legal stuff within Better Call Saul. I love the adulation on Selena Kyle's face with the animation. There were 5 years. It's like, oh god, 5 years probation. Ah, hooray, probation. We've seen how
Right,
probation
right. Yeah, yeah, that's a good kind of fake out moment right there.
and of course everyone's celebrating, like throwing hats in the air
I
practically.
like how the crowd's like totally on her side.
Of course the judge is like, I'm not finished. Says if you ever, I just love the emphasis on ever, by the way. Did you catch that? Just like, but if you ever don your Catwoman suit again to violate the law, emphasis to violate the law, I'll revoke your
By the way,
probation.
when we get the fade in on Catwoman, I like how we have these really freaky, like stylized jurors who are just still in the background.
Yeah, we do. It's like the old painted effect on Batman. I love it though. I love it so much. To reveal, her probation will one be revoked, and then I'll throw the book at you. So yeah, but
But
again,
again, non-verbally, we see like Selena says she understands, but we see kind of non-verbally she's thankful for the second chance and she wants to make the best of it.
of course, the animated series is very famous with the second chance stories and checking in with the whole rehabilitation of all. And as you mentioned in referencing, Cape Crusaders and the '60s Batman animated stuff. Of course, Batman very famously is very interested in Selena Kyle's rehabilitation.
Oh, God.
I want to rehabilitate Catwoman. But again, that's what I'm saying. We didn't take the teeth out of the ending of that, where Batman said, he arrested her, which is such a rare thing, where Batman's not letting her get away. And that was the animated series. I want to say was one of the first place. I mean, in retrospect, now I'm thinking about it, it's like it might have been one of the first times Batman actually just kind of caught her, and she didn't. At the very least, and definitely another medium, like kind of like a thing many people would have seen, just kind of play it. You'd never have that with that dynamic. It's very fascinating, and seeing kind of basically Batman trusting in the system, and again seeing the rehabilitation kind of play out. Really good stuff. Another thing kind of makes the
Yeah.
animated series landmark, one could say. Anyway, go on.
All right, so there's a crowd of photographers following Selena out the door. My favorite random quote is like, "Miss Kyle, if I don't get a quote from you, I'll lose my job."
Oh my god. Forgot about that one. Oh boy. All right,
Is
let's see.
Catwoman really finished?
Of course, but this is one of the rare times, because we mentioned her a lot in the last episode. This is one of the rare times we didn't use Summer Gleason outside of the courthouse. Usually, every time someone's walking down or someone needs a comment, it's always Summer Gleason. This is one of the rare times. I want to say the only time, if I'm being frank, we don't have Summer Gleason. Like, say, can you comment? How do you feel about this?
Right.
And then that very same news lady, she's on the broadcast saying, "Can a lady leopard change your spots?" And of course, we transition to Bruce Wayne. Transition to the TV. Bruce is working out. And Alfred's preparing like a shake with an egg. A little Rocky homage, one could say.
Alfred's kind of asking, like, now that Selena's been rehabilitated, are you going to pursue her, sir?
I doubt it. Well, basically, he says he doubts it because she loves Batman, which again we very much established in that other episodes here. So of course that these modern relationships are so complicated.
Oh, Alfred. Oh, Alfred. But Dragon, what year was this episode made?
Well, I mean, if we're being, it's probably 93 technically.
Oh, Alfred. Oh, man, you have no idea. You just have no idea.
Anyway, so the other reason is Batman is now, of course, it's Conroy, using the Batman voice in Pride, which again is something we kind of always herald. It's one of the great things about his performance in the show, and I want to kind of highlight Kevin Conroy because, of course, he's finally going to be able to play Bruce Wayne live action, which is awesome.
I'm sure you're stoked about that, Dragon.
I am so beyond stoked. Anyway, talking about this, outside of everything else that's going on, he's not convinced that she's given up her life of crime. The reason I bring up the whole Batman of it all specifically is the fact that, again, he's thinking as Batman before he's thinking as a happy life as Bruce Wayne in this moment. So Wilson kind of communicates with him still stuck in the Batman voice in his private time, which,
A little bit of a phantasm vibe going on there.
Absolutely.
Not much, but, one could say like a dash of phantasm.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Anyways, the point being, he's kind of questioning if she's going to be able to kind of fight her compulsion to be criminal. And of course, it's like the animated series. The one thing with Catwoman in the animated series is that later when they do, I want to say Catwoman's third appearance is when we start getting the whole criminal aspect of it again. Because remember, right now I'm sorry, I'm just trying to. No, you know what? Strike that, Teague. I'm sorry. Here's the thing, because of the Sean Catherine Derrick stuff, they try to make Catwoman an anti-hero, and I know Catwoman nowadays is somewhat of an anti-hero, but back then they really wanted to make her the anti-hero who, she had a mountain lion preserve she was trying to save. Therefore, she's not all bad. It wasn't just the fact that she likes Batman. Therefore, she's not all bad. It wasn't quite that. It was just more. She was stealing. I was thinking back to Cat in the Claw. Read this in part one. She steals that necklace. Therefore, she was stealing. Therefore, again, there was the criminal thing that Batman is worried about. Okay, so point. It all works. Forget what I was saying. We're all good. Moving on.
All right. So meanwhile, back at Selena Kyle's apartment.
So basically, Selena Kyle's Alfred in the form of Maven, her kind of her friend and presumably like her publicist or assistant, just her kind of overall, kind of her gal Friday, if you will. So Selena is welcomed by her friend, her return home, and Maven breaks some bad news to Selena. What is that bad news, Diggy?
That dragon Isis is gone. Oh no!
Yes, Isis the cat has run away.
Oh boy, how many political jokes am I going to make on this podcast about Isis the cat?
God.
Anyways. Dragon, we can't find Isis. Whatever are we going to do?
I'll just put out some catnip. I'm sure it'll come back.
Oh God! All right. I'm done. I'll finish on 2. I'll working a third one along the way. We'll see.
Okay. The point being, Isis has run away and. Ran away, presumably looking for Selena. Her owner's gone, therefore she leaves to look for her owner. Otherwise, it's just the cat who just ran away. But again, if you want to attach some sentiment to it, by all means.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Selena. So she basically, Selena's looking for a cat. She's trolling the fish markets, looking for showing pictures of Isis. Of course, cats they're looking for fish.
Just trolling the fish markets. That's what I love about Gotham City in this show is how lived it is that we get fish markets in the first place.
Oh yeah. All the best shows really feature a fish market. Batman the Animated Series, fish market. We talk it up in Daredevil. Fish markets. Find a bluefin Murdoch. That whole thing. Anyway.
All right, so yeah, she's going around the fish market showing pictures of Isis. She's trying to. Yeah, I'll retract that one.
Importantly, we see a bad snowstorm is slowly. I like this detail as well on the rewatch here. You get to see the snow coming in. So basically, a bad snowstorm is coming, which of course we'll kind of, we'll see more visually.
Wayne.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's see. So then we have
a dramatic shot of Batman. I love this shot actually. The silhouette of Batman with the cape, kind of observing Selena as she's wandering through the town.
Yeah.
Of course, she wanders into a dark alley, Dragon.
That she does. She So, oh yeah, I'm sorry. She wanders an alley. She uses the little whistle to kind of see if it's Isis going to respond to it. Ends up just being kind of a stray, and then some figures accost her.
Yes, yes.
Jesse and Paul, the goons for Roland Daggett.
Dragon, okay, I'm going to call it like I see it, all right? Like, these two might be simple, but they're a lot of fun.
They are. Here's the thing. Jessie, specifically the lady of the group, she what's funny? Later on, we're going to meet Milo. Milo's actually a very important character in the DCAU, technically. We'll get there. But yeah, Jessie is on the rewatch. Looks a lot like she could be like Milo's sister with that weird kind of elongated face that she's got.
Like, I really like her design. She's got a very intimidating design.
Yeah, I mean, of course, good voice work as well. It just feels it feels
It
realistic.
almost kind of feels like she could play Nurse Ratchet. You know what I mean?
That's better. Yes, Tiki. Yeah, very Nurse Ratchet-esque. Yeah, it's a good pull. All right. Point being, so Selena has no luck, and then she's accosted by Daggett's goons, who are basically they're capturing strays with extreme prejudice. They don't really need to be that cruel to them, but they are. Because again, importantly, we need to
lousy dirtbags.
Yeah, importantly, we need to emphasize, okay, so Celine's going to be able to tell that they're not actually animal controlled, therefore, because they're really doing this with a lot of prejudice and just really, not being gentle about what they're doing. So they're obviously, it's kind of again, here we get into the PSA of, the PSA is like, one, keep your pets indoors, and secondly, again, be aware of kind of these offshoots of, bad stuff happening to animals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so of course Selena takes issue with this, and then we kind of get into the cat crusader of it all. One could say. Let's see. And again, this is where we kind of bridge into a little bit of the on the nose stuff here. Again, Catwoman. Catwoman saves. Catwoman saves the strays, and obviously they're not going to an animal shelter, which she basically kind of calls them out on. She fights them off. She's demanding answers, and then of course they get the better of her with the trash can. Basically, they attack her with trash cans. Man, they're about to bludgeon her with a trash can because we can't really I don't know. Maybe it was I don't know if it was maybe a network note or what. But the point being, they're in an alleyway. They're trash cans. Maybe it's just a practical choice. I don't know. So as it came across a little silly to me, but it's fine. It's just okay. She's about to be hit by a trash can. I mean, if she can do all that, do all the stuff a Catwoman can do.
Trash can held by a very, very large individual.
Yeah. Thankfully, Batman comes in for the save with a batarang.
And then this is kind of silly. Like, this is something that I could picture happening in like a Batman Scooby-Doo crossover. Just Batman, just like freaking, putting the trash can over the woman.
Yep.
Just head to toe.
And Catwoman just kicks her, just hits her. I'm sure it's ringing, and she falls to the ground with that trash can on her head.
Womp,
she had it coming, though.
Womp, 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 womp.
Absolutely. All right, let's see. So, put a lid on its sister. You get maybe some Catherine and Derek dialogue there.
But you know what? I do kind of like this moment with Batman and Selena. I don't care if it was a little silly building up to it. Batman's just like, okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. I want to make sure I get
you were supposed to stay out of trouble, says,
Yeah, Batman's just like, oh, you were supposed to stay out of trouble. And Selena's like, well, don't tell me that you're my very own private probation officer. How often would you like me to check in? And Dragon, they're about to go for a kiss until the police lights interrupt them. And I gotta say, what leads up to it is pretty silly, but that is a pretty, like, cut and dry. That's how I imagine the Batman Catwoman dynamic to be. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the essence of Batman and Catwoman. That sort of like, will they, won't they flirtation.
Absolutely, that it is. So then the GCPD roll up, and I believe I remember this. If I'm remembering correctly, Wilkes is Montoya's partner here, which again is a great connect to POV, which again doesn't surprise me because I'm pretty sure that was a Sean Catherine Derek episode. Nothing against it because I love POV. POV is a great one. So Wilkes and Montoya, they show up, and they're the Montoya's asking what happened here, and it's basically he said she said. They kind of abridge it a little bit here. And unfortunately, they have the numbers on Selena here. Like, we're just catching strays. And unfortunately, Selena again has a bit of a record on her, and that doesn't help her. And a very public figure with a record on her, so that doesn't help her case here. So let's just settle this downtown. Downtown, it's like, oh, poor Selena. So she's arrested, and we believe we see like the ISIS photo drop or something, right?
Yes, the ISIS photo dramatically drops.
Yes, so poor
We see
Selena.
a dramatic photo of ISIS.
Yes. Meanwhile, we see what Daggett's operations are. So we're at Daggett Labs again. Presumably, again, my head canon is that he's trying to salvage like what he had left of the factories that were making the Clayface, the Renew You that made Clayface. Basically, he's got like another offshoot of a Daggett Labs. So it's kind of more of a it's a less fancy, more like kind of traditional like lab where we're manufacturing stuff. It's more like a lab where you keep stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Right,
so
we're introduced to Milo.
Oh,
I thought his last name was Milo.
No, it's Dr. Milo.
Dr. Milo. Okay, sorry. Just
no, it's fine. Right. But this guy, so Tiki, remember Dr. Milo? He's going to pop up a couple times, and let's just say he has a very memorable episode in Justice League. Justice League Unlimited down the line. Again, this guy's kind of he's a comics character, and he was very much like for example, Daggett's henchman, obviously not comics characters. So Dr. Milo again is kind of noteworthy. He's very much. He's kind of a mad scientist character. He's very much sort of like he's kind of one of our origin places for splicing, let's say, in Batman Beyond. We don't have like people turning into animals and stuff, or kind of mad scientists in relation to animals without Dr. Milo. That's kind of a shtick.
He's kind of got like a Peter Lorre vibe to him a little bit.
That he does. There's a bit, maybe not in the voice, but in terms of the cadence, there's something.
Yeah, I see in terms of the cadence and the mannerisms.
Yeah, there's something kind of like there's something sleazy and then kind of there's something somewhat sleazy but like charming.
Sleazy, but in an old school like 1930s Peter Lorre gangster kind of way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anywho, so points that we kind of give our scientist character a little bit of characterization with it. So he's not just like, okay, he's not just the scientist by the numbers here.
He's not just Mr. Scientist.
Which is cool. I mean, we kind of did that with Daggett in the Clayface episode too. Remember, we had his henchmen. They had very Dick Tracy kind of like henchmen with gimmicks. Where you have like Germs, the germophobic kind of right hand man, the Daggett, and you had like you had the guy with the headset. Remember?
Yeah.
One is Daggett has kind of some colorful characters around him, and again, even the two that we are mocking a little bit here with Punch and Jesse. Again, they're very distinct. Let's say so. Again, very old school, very classic TAS. All right. So let's see. So sorry, I'm just going to go over the point array. I haven't gone over here. Okay. Anyway, so basically, the operation here is that they're infecting animals. The idea is they're collecting the stray population of Gotham. They're going to infect them with a virus, and thankfully, Daggett Labs trying to make a big comeback here. They're going to come out with the antitoxin, which will basically net him money and fame and all that sort of stuff.
Well, Dragon, they're going to the wrong person. They should be going to Dean from The Leftovers.
Sure.
Although Dean would just kill the dog, so that would kind of render the whole thing kind of moot.
And it would.
Right.
So they test it on a dog to kind of demonstrate to us, the audience, as well as Daggett, how it works. They infect the dog, and then this dog, this really docile animal, then becomes really vicious and really just very terrifying.
Yeah, I would say this dog animation is some of the more impressive stuff in the episode, just in terms of how realistically scary it is. Like, this does genuinely look like a dog who's got something very much wrong with him and will attack you.
That's the thing, is of course it's a very fast-acting toxin as well, which is really terrifying about it. Just in one spray and then you're there. It's not like a time release sort of thing. And
one taste and you'll know.
Sure. Then the operation is going to be complete by tomorrow, and then we kind of pan off to the side and we reveal ISIS. ISIS is then injected by Milo. Milo then injects ISIS, and that is not good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, later, Selena, she walks out of the GCPD. She's been bailed, and who do we reveal bailed her?
It's Bruce Wayne!
Yeah, what a guy. So Alfred and Bruce are waiting by the car.
There's no guy like Bruce Wayne.
Anyway, so Alfred.
So I love how awkward this car ride is, where Bruce kind of like has his has his arms around Selena, and he's just like, "Oh well, the money's not important, Selena. You are." And Selena's just like, "Well, Bruce, I like you as a friend. I really like you, but and as a friend."
Like,
And
take
Bruce is
that,
just
Batman
like,
Forever. This is how you do that scene.
right. And Bruce is just like, "Well, okay, as a friend, do you think that this arrest is going to have an effect on your probation? I'll worry about that after I find my cat."
Yeah. It's it's basically she friend zones Bruce in this scene, absolutely. And of course, it's a really it's a really nice thing to kind of see that it's the age old thing you see with Batman sometimes. Where okay, so Selena, it's like the old Lois Lane. They were Lois Lane, she loves Superman, but she can't stand Clark Kent, or something or
Right.
other. In this case, again, Selena, Catwoman, has a thing for Batman. Of course, Bruce Wayne. They're friends. So again, there's a care there, and but again, we saw that really well established. Where again, Bruce and Selena are absolutely friends, and again, she uses Bruce, and Bruce is okay with it, and that's kind of the
I mean, he did kind of bail her out in court, or at least had a pretty big influence in it.
yeah. Again, whether it was Batman or Bruce is the question, but regardless, point is someone helped, and it was Batman. It was Bruce, all the same, so it doesn't really matter. Point being, someone helped.
All right.
Anywho, so let's see. So so she's she's still on the hunt for ISIS. Let's see.
She's pointing out that the random pet nappers or the stray
Creeps.
Yeah. She's pointing out that they had a fancy Daggett lawyer come in and get them out in less than an hour, while she had to spend the whole night in jail. Something sketch about that.
Yeah, they get less than an hour, and that's the thing. So Bruce warns that Daggett's a very dangerous man, and
I really like this transition. It says Selena's like, "Don't worry," and then we transition to night in front of Daggett Enterprises.
well, emphasis
Car
on that.
pulls up.
Well, the emphasis on that transition is that like you won't see Selena Kyle
Well,
anywhere
that's what I was
near.
building to, Dragon. I was building to that. Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry.
All right, no, it's fine. Yeah. It's like, because she's saying, like, don't worry. We see the car pull up. You won't see Selena Kyle anywhere near that place, anywhere near Daggett.
Let's see. So Catwoman is then, of course, we transition to Catwoman. She's picking locks with her claws. Classic stuff there. Meanwhile, at Wayne Enterprises,
Meanwhile, at Wayne Enterprises,
Lucius.
Lucius!
Here's what's funny. I know what you're pulling. You're pulling from the Dark Knight Rises thing with Lucius,
Yes.
but I keep pulling from. When I think Lucius, I keep thinking about the introduction to Lucius Best from The Incredibles. Lucius.
I mean, I'm pulling from a very, very, like, obscure personal experience watching The Dark Knight Rises. Lucius! Anyways.
For the young girls who thought that Lucius Fox was a goner when the area flooded.
And I'm telling you, Dragon, there was more than one of them that was just like, they screamed his name out loud.
Anywho.
All right.
Okay, the point being, so we're at Wayne Enterprises. Lucius is basically Bruce he's looking into the whole Daggett matter via Lucius here. Lucius tells Bruce that Daggett has a new antitoxin coming to market. Where basically Daggett's going big in public again, using what little business stuff. Again, his reputation's, as I mentioned, presumably the reputation's been taken a hit. This is going to be his big comeback via like new product on the market. Because he's in the pharmaceutical business. Remember the whole Renew You of it all. That's where Daggett's making his money. So he's coming back with like, hey, if people are getting sick and they need to. People getting sick with essentially a really lethal form of rabies, because that's the idea. If these things scratch you or anything, then you're going to be a goner as well. So it's going to be an epidemic, a plague that he's unleashing on Gotham with a built-in cure that people will pay through the nose for. And this is really good detective work in the business sense on Bruce Wayne here. He's putting together that, okay, so Daggett, he's dipped all of his resources into the antitoxin, where presumably you're going to need a disease to treat that for. So again, it's pretty much fill in the blanks for, okay, Daggett's creating the disease that's going to need that antitoxin.
Basically, creating the demand that's going to cause the supply and demand.
Precisely.
All right.
All right, let's see. So then we have this snow-covered Gotham looks great. I just want to get that in there too. So snow-covered Gotham looks awesome.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
All right, so Selena.
Yeah, so Selena's sneaking around the lab. She comes upon Isis in a cage, but Isis does not look well, Dragon. Man, I gotta say, I really feel bad for this cat in this animation, man. She's like shaking around, her head's all lopsided. And then we get the proverbial cat scratch of the episode as Isis bites and scratches Selena, catching her very much off guard.
Yes, you know it always kind of bothered me. The cat very much bites her, and that's what infects her. Even though the whole episode's called Cat Scratch Fever, that's my little nitpick.
I just said that she scratched her just to cover my tracks, basically, just in case. But yeah, it very much did look like a bite and not a scratch.
Yeah.
I honestly think the only reason it's called Cat Scratch Fever is because of the song, Dragon. I really do.
When was that released, anyway?
Oh, God, I want to say like the 70s, maybe.
That's a fair point. Or at least it's really
I don't even know who recorded it, but
no, it's a fair point. They probably got the episode title from that at all. But
Cat Scratch Fever.
Okay. Anyway, so yes, so Catwoman is infected. Then she's accosted by the goons, and she uses her whip as she tips over the chemicals, causes a diversion. She escapes, and before Punch and Jesse pursue her, Milo points out again. This is classic Milo here. Here's the
I really like this bit. Yeah. Kind of using brain over brawn.
Yep. Can't you? In case you goons haven't noticed, she's been bitten. The toxin will get her. She can outrun you, but she can't outrun the toxin beam. The idea. So Catwoman is chasing Isis. She's going to run away from her here, and then this is a really artful sequence in the episode. This to me is the most memorable sequence from the entire thing for me personally. I always love this scene. So her vision doubles, and she basically her vision doubles, and she's
kind of like a Vertigo style like shot.
Absolutely, like she's propelling down with her whip, and she kind of falls as she's doing that. She's kind of failing to propel down with the whip properly, and she's kind of like she's being very disoriented. It's a great scene where she's, basically Catwoman being drugged, chasing Isis through the snow that's continuing to fall, and like the blizzards kind of roll. Practically a blizzard's rolling in, and I love the detail that she's overheating, and that's why she's removing her mask, and she. And basically, again, she gives an impaired chase, and she passes out on the road, and then the Batmobile pulls. My favorite shot in the whole thing: the Batmobile pulls up, and you just have this dazed and fearful Catwoman as Batman gets out of the car. And I love this car. So any shot with this car is really kind of put into a really good framing of the shot. It's really cool. Right. And it says, "Catwoman, it's me." Of course, here's where we're getting to the exchange. Some people might look. I don't take an issue with this, but I can imagine people would cite this as kind of cheesy dialogue. I thought it was kind of cutesy though. Where it's just, "You're hot. Now you notice."
You see that honestly, that's kind of like it's 60s Batman double entendre, but it is classic Batman Catwoman double entendre, not the same.
Sure.
All right, and that's kind of one of the things I like about this episode is it feels like kind of like a nice collection of different eras of the Batman and Catwoman dynamic.
Absolutely. So she asks Batman.
Pleading not to go to a hospital. She says she has a hideaway not far away. If she goes to a hospital, Daggett will have her arrested.
Oh yeah. Now it's a little bit of headcanon here. She goes to this location. It's like a giant cat statue, not like a mount. I want to say it's a mountain lion, and presumably this is the connect where the Cat in the Claw is all about that mountain lion preserve that she was trying to save, and I'd like to think this is the mountain lion preserve that we were talking about in that episode. Or at least like the headquarters of it or something. I don't know. That's what I'd like to think this is, and that's why she'd have this little offshoot hideaway. I don't know. It might be me.
I like that idea.
Anyway, so she's asking, basically, as Batman's kind of tending her inside the place, like, so tell me, are you soft on criminals or just me? The fever's making you delusional.
Once again, that's just like classic Catman and Batwoman dynamics. I'm a broken record on this, but it's really, really good. It's really, really, I don't know what the word, it's very much, sorry, Dragon, I'm this. what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like definitive. It's like definitive Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah.
And she's like ever the escape artist, I see, kind of like meaning that he's like trying to dodge the question,
Very
basically.
solid banter. It's excellent banter.
Yeah,
excellent bat
exactly.
banter, one could say.
Sorry, I elongated that way more than it should have been. Anyways.
All right.
Okay, so Batman discovers the scratches on her arm or the bites. Yeah, she does. Actually, to be fair, she does specifically say Isis bit her, but she's saying it's not her fault. She kind of explains that they did something to the animals and that must save Isis. Yeah, Dragon, we must save Isis, right?
Yeah, out of context but out of context today, that one doesn't really play as well. Of all
save Isis.
That's the one they're going to use if anyone really wants.
Right.
Wants to defame an American icon. If they're
God.
Let's defame Batman in some way, shape, or form.
You think that Selina Kyle has it out for the good people? All right. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we?
Okay, so and then we get to the predatory Batman scene. Man, I love this scene. In the animated series, of course, like one of the best things about Batman is, of course, when he gets into the intimidation, the interrogations, and and just being the very predatory, stealthy figure that he is. So we have this really great scene where Punch is like going to the lab so he can grab the antidotes. Basically, while they're transporting the animals, if they get infected, they'll be covered. And he goes there and he just opens the door, and of course, snow-covered Gotham. A little bit of snow falls before he goes in. And these are like the Godfather touches that Batman animated series is known for. Like a little something goes wrong before something bad or Batman acts. Like one of those things, like before something goes amiss in a scene. And like a little bit of snow falls, he looks up, nothing's there, goes inside, and then we see Batman appear as we pan up, and that's where the snow fell. And he's gunning for him. It's awesome. All right. Meanwhile, back in the lab is basically Daggett asking what the holdup is, and of course Milo explains Punch went back to went to the warehouse side of the complex to get the antitoxin.
The Batman's got Punch hung upside down.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm going to play a game. I'm going to guess what Daggett's planning, and you tell me if I'm right.
I love the delight. Where again, this is one of the rare ones where Batman can be a little lighter as long as
Alfred, I had a good day at the office today.
Exactly. I love where Batman can really play mind games with people like this, where he's a little like Batman in kind of a chipper mood for a change. And you can tell me if I'm right. Let's see. So he awesome little shot. He just punches. He doesn't even need to do this. He's just doing it for he's trying to terrify him. That's why he's doing it. He just punches into the cardboard box and he grabs out a vial. And he basically fills in the blanks, gets a nod from Punch here. Basically, the world's greatest detective in effect here. Really good scene.
Yeah.
Where he says, basically this is an antitoxin for a plague that doesn't exist yet. You're going to spread through the dogs and cats and and basically it'll blanket in days. Then Daggett enters dramatically here and basically points out there are 30,000.
Batman says weeks. Batman says weeks, and then Daggett interrupts. Days, Batman. Days.
Oh, the wonderful Ed Asner again. One of the great. It's such a great character for Ed Asner to play.
I love how formal Daggett is with Batman, how he just very formally just refers to him as Batman. He's just like, how many strays there are in Gotham, Batman? 300,000.
Yeah. And yes, it's basically he gets in the monologue of it all right here. He's just saying 300,000 strays in Gotham, and of course Batman he swipes the vial in the interim during all this too. By the way, he has a sample of the antitoxin. So basically, even with a tenth of that population, Gotham's a goner, and of course they'll all be going to him and bottle with Basically, they'll go for this little bottle, and they'll make Daggett a hero and give him fame and fortune, be the hero that saved Gotham with this product. And of course, Batman. Unfortunately, now Daggett has to clean up the loose end that is Batman. Therefore, he has Jesse with a Tommy gun, and Batman throws punches. It's awesome bit here. He takes the man hanging upside down, and he basically throws him into the other two. It's like, oh, he's just like, this is what Kevin Smith loves about Batman. I also echo the sentiment to a degree. Of course, me, I love when Batman saves people. I think a lot of people, though, there's such a great satisfaction when Batman like takes out bad people. Or like throws bad people into other bad people. It's pretty cool.
Sure.
So then he runs off and he's dodging Tommy gun fire. So before Batman escapes,
Tommy gunfire, Dragon. A lot of gunfire this episode.
Absolutely. Nothing better than a Tommy gun. All right, so as Batman's trying to escape, Milo spots him and he sicks the dog that was infected from earlier for kind of our story purposes. Sicks it on Batman, giving him chase here. We do this really great bit. And Tiki is always, as a kid, for me, one of the simple indentations, oh man, Batman's in trouble. When he loses the cape, Batman's in trouble. It's like the whole, like, Superman can't fly without the cape. Well, obviously he can, but for dramatic effect, we like him with the cape when he flies. And with Batman, it's like, oh no, Batman's lost his cape. He's in trouble.
Well, first of all, I really like the practical way in which Batman tries to subdue the dog with the cape. You know, wrap the dog around the cape. It doesn't take, of course, but it is a really clever, non-violent solution that Batman comes up with, like in the heat of the moment.
Exactly, especially in a very animal-loving episode, we definitely can't have Batman punch the dog like in The Dark Knight. We can't have him like punch the dog. In like the climax going up against the Joker and the three dogs.
And you know what? Honestly, that kind of makes this climax a little bit more exciting. The fact that Batman's dealing with a foe that he clearly cannot be violent towards.
Absolutely, because he knows it's not.
To me, it kind of like ups the stakes of like, okay, like we know Batman can't just fight this thing off, so how is he going to get out of it?
I mean, it's a twofold thing. Where, like, look, if Batman's really pushed against the wall, then obviously, yeah, he'd probably punch the dog. But in all honesty, though, again, he knows it's not the dog's fault. But more accurately, there's a risk if he attacks the dog could bite him and infect him, which obviously would not be good because he doesn't know how much he has with that one antitoxin.
Yeah.
He lucks out because again, it does have 2 shots in it. The idea it's like an aerosol thing. So until the thing's empty, you're good. But still, he doesn't want to chance it, you know.
All right. Anyway, Fido gives chase to Batman into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Then we cut back to Daggett Labs.
Daggett warns that Batman better be dead, and this is really great Ed Asner dialogue here. It's so good. The headline.
If he does get away, I suggest you keep driving as far away from Gotham as this truck can take you.
Yes. Just that's it's Asner magic there, baby. Asner magic.
Oh yeah.
All right, so
I'm Ed Asner.
Anyway, switchblade for the radio inclined of our audience out there. So anyway, so Batman slides down a hill. Good animation here. Just kind of sliding down the hill. Here's the thing. Sometimes I don't know. Bruce Timm was talking about the animation.
Wonderland.
Sometimes I think Bruce Timm was a little overly harsh to Akon personally, again, assuming like that was true. That again, this is the last straw, given the fact we do other episodes. Because I mean, there is a lot of great redeeming animated bits, and so again, we didn't do Snow all that much in the MCs. One, because it's probably difficult, but again, even when difficult, look good.
Yeah.
So he slides down a hill. He's running to the ice, and basically he's trying to. He's trying to run to Selina Kyle as fast as he can to give her the antitoxin before it's too late, before she conks out. And of course, he has to run across this ice pond, which is this pond that's frosted over, while being chased by an infected dog. A few plates spinning with Batman here, as there tends to be many a time. So the ice cracks, and then the goons arrive. So Batman. He's fighting off the infected, the infected vicious dog here. The vial falls on the ice. It's kind of like a battle to get to the vial and can't cure the dog before he has to make some really harsh choices.
Yeah, but fortunately, he doesn't have to make the harsh choice. He does cure the dog. He sprays the thing in his face, and he does get subdued. So thankfully,
absolutely. Then Jesse is
Batman punch a dog in the face.
Yeah, so then Jesse is shooting the ice, and then basically, Batman he and the dog fall through the ice. I can't remember if the dog climbs out or if he saves the dog. I mean, I think
the dog climbs out before Batman climbs out.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think
Yeah.
I think you're right because I will remember like Batman saving a dog. It's awesome because I don't quite remember
Honestly,
that.
I don't know why they. I think the only reason why they didn't take that opportunity is because they wanted to make just the Batman escape as dramatic as possible, and having a dog in the mix probably would have been made it a little bit more unrealistic. Where Batman's not only preserving his own life, but he's preserving because it's enough to suspend your disbelief about Batman getting hypothermia. But if the dog doesn't get out right away, then you're just like, oh god, this dog is underwater for way too long, man.
I mean, look, it's
So
Bat.
I imagine that's why they didn't go that route.
I mean, I was thinking more like as he goes in, he'd throw the dog out, but then he would have to go back under the water, which tactically wouldn't make any sense. Therefore, they just kind of look at the dog climbs out. So the dog's a non-issue in regards to the hypothermia. The man's taking on Mister Freeze. He's fine, you know. But no, in all seriousness, so basically, we have this is a really neat sequence there. So Batman's under the ice, and of course, he has to swim to the. He has to go get the.
I like how he's like swimming up above the trying to go below the bits of ice that are broken off and trying to hide and get breaths of air. That's very suspenseful and cool.
Of course, like before he does it, he has to swim down and get the antitoxin, which is kind of like kind of going away. So he has to swim down into the cold water even more so before he has to get that breath. And of course, he's basically faking him out for a man. He's got to be an ice cube by now.
Uh-huh.
Then we have this really awesome where Batman just punches through the ice, and he's grabbing Jesse's leg and basically freaking out. And by the way, Jesse was really cocky because she had the Tommy gun. She's like, "Yeah, come, let me see those pointy ears." And she's doing that. It's like, man, you're really, yeah, you kind of wasting your ammunition there. It's being really cocky. It's Batman under there, right? Batman.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so then of course this awesome bit though where we said she's really trigger happy. Like, basically, really kind of finger on the trigger, as it were. Hand goes up, grabs the ankle, and basically she freaks out. Basically, as she's going to spin around trying to find herself, the gun's going off, and basically, it cracks. It basically fires a circle around the ice, and they all fall in. Batman kind of like he saves them. Like, he does save people, as he tends to do. Drags him out of there. Then he runs to Selina and gives her the antitoxin just in the nick of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah.
We cut to Maven reading about Batman and Catwoman uncover a medical scheme. Sorry, Dragon, I'm trying to read the paper, my bad. Selina's still kind of she's opening the window, kind of forlorn about Isis. She doesn't know when Isis is coming back. She's kind of worried about him.
Yeah, importantly, I wanted to kind of note this. So again, Catwoman is credited in the paper as the hero, and of course, it's kind of I guess it's a little loophole in her sentencing, where again, if she does an illegal act, I mean, then she's liable. Again, Catwoman very publicly saved the day, therefore, it's a little loophole. She was masked up and everything, therefore breaking the conditions. So a little loophole, good for her. Of course, Daggett, of course, he's saying, like, if you noticed, I believe, I think it was on the paper, it's like Daggett's quote, it's like, "I'm innocent."
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, if you keep it up at this rate, they'll make Catwoman dolls. Another really great line of dialogue, but just one that's cool. But yes, you're right, so no sign of Isis, Selena's killing a little down the dumps here, but what happens?
Oh my god, okay, tell me this isn't adorable.
Love it.
It really is, man. So we get it's almost like a Jack Skellington thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Explain
literally.
it. Yeah, it's very much a Jack Skellington thing. Explain what happens.
So essentially, akin to like how Sally sends up Jack the basically the little the food basket. Selina she longs for her cat. She's holding the picture and everything.
Longs for Isis, Dragon. Last one. She longs for Isis.
Yes, Tiki, she longs for Isis. So Batman really cleverly here. Again, I love that we don't see Batman do in this. We don't see Batman doing the act here, but you can kind of fill in the blanks. Where basically a basket is lowered containing Isis, and it's a really cute gesture here. Basically, Isis pops up on top of Selina's chair where she's sitting, and it's like meow or something. Basically, Selina's like, "Oh, Isis!" And she's reunited with her cat, and it's like, "How?" And then of course she looks off, and you see Batman grapple off. And basically we show that Batman, he has hope in the rehabilitation with this gesture and Catwoman and everything. It's a feel good ending.
It is. I don't know. Like I said, I just kind of like you and I. We love our pleasantries, and I thought that was. And rarely do we see Batman just being straight up pleasant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, honestly, Dragon, final thoughts, even talking through this, I got to admit, I think I probably like this one more than the average fan does, just because I think it's probably me looking through it through fresh eyes. And of course, as we go through these episodes, I'm sure that there's going to be many of them that overshadow this, and I'm not calling this the best or even one of the best that we've seen so far in our little journey here. But I quite enjoyed it. This was a very solid one. I really liked the characterization in this one.
Yeah. For me, it's an example of a Batman the Animated Series kind of follow-up episode and a small step into kind of the rehabilitation stories that we do even better as we go on. Like when we have like villains like the Penguin or like with the Harley Quinn, we do like the rehabilitation episodes. They're really good. And this, I think, is kind of this is maybe like the first step into those sort of stories. The episode is quite important in that regard. It's at the end of the day, though, again, while it has that going for it, it's kind of at some places it's kind of an excuse to bring. It feels like an excuse to bring Catwoman back, and again, nothing against that because hey, we got Catwoman back, and we have a story that's still kind of playing with that Batman Catwoman dynamic. So I'm not complaining in that regard. I just think it's a little transparent that we want to do Catwoman again, but on the second view, like on the repeat viewing, it's like hey, it's we actually we honored what came before with the introduction of this version of Catwoman, and we're kind of filling the blanks. It's kind of a natural progression versus like let's just do another Catwoman story for the heck of it. At least it feels more worthy of like an episode versus just like let's find an excuse to do her again. You have that going on for you. You also have a little bit of that whole like we're speaking out against animal testing of it all there, which it's a little on the nose, but I mean, hey, it made a decent story out of things. Could the episode have been about the faults in the system, especially like part of me, Tiki, wonders if the episode might have been also a little bit more interesting. We did the whole, Daggett, like basically that one moment we were talking about, where again, Daggett's guys only spent an hour in prison or in jail, where she has to spend the whole night in jail. Like, we didn't really go through like a whole, like have the systems kind of failing Selena, and like we see the hardships of someone who's trying to kind of get a second chance at a life. But again, we do that better down the line with other things. So maybe it's just a bumpy first step. Maybe I'm like looking into it too much, but it kind of makes me wonder if we weren't as PSA focused, what the episode might have gone with things. But it is what it is. It's a solid. It's solid enough.
All right, Dragon, why don't you cue your Dozier?
A blackmailing scheme? Batman on vacation? Memory machines? And an auction most foul. Can Batman foil Hugo Strange before the highest bidder wins? Or will Bruce Wayne's secret be exposed? Find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
With the strange secret of Bruce Wayne. Next time on The Animated Batcave.